vacations can be interesting. You know, you're a single person, maybe you're in a couple, you go off on vacation, you have this wonderful relaxed time, everything's great. Then you have a kid, and you go on vacation, and it's not relaxing. We've got the multiple Mayhem Mama, Samantha Kemp-Jackson here. It's just like a totally different experience, right?
It's a completely different experience, Val, but you have to be prepared to get through it.
Which is exactly why you're here. So you came to us before you went on your trip to Florida.
I went to Orlando.
And you said all the things that you were doing in preparation, and there were lots of things to pack for the trip itself, and then for once you got there to keep them amused and fed and keep the tantrums down to a minimum. How did that work for you?
Well, I'd say that it worked pretty well. There were some meltdowns, of course. That's invariable when you have little children, but planning in advance was really, really a help this time.
Remind us how old your kids are.
Okay, so my youngest two are almost 3. They're identical twin boys. And then my daughter is 8. And then my oldest daughter is in her 20s. So she was kind of a wrangler babysitter for me as well.
All right, and so just very quickly, go over some of the things that you did to prepare.
Well, so I was going to Orlando, so I knew that we were going to be going to theme parks and we were going to be walking around, so I made sure that everybody had comfortable shoes that we were walking around in, so that really helped. One thing that I would tell parents to do as well is make sure that you have either a GPS system in your rental car or a map of where you're going. So in Orlando, we were driving around a lot, and through no fault but our own, we got a little bit lost, and there was a little bit of a meltdown in the car. So
because by then you've passed nap time, you've passed food time, and you're in a whole different environment. Your routine is gone, so you as the parent probably kind of lose track of that, right?
You lose track of it, and that's one thing as well, Val, that I would say to parents is just make sure that you can be as flexible as possible and factor in your children's nap time. So if you know that your kids are little and they need to sleep in the afternoon even for an hour, factor that in. So when we were going to the amusement parks, I thought to myself, okay, let's just go a little bit later in the day, let them sleep a little bit, and then we'll go to Disney World. Then we'll go to Universal Studios.
No, it's so tempting to go, oh, we got to get all these things in because we're here, we need to do it.
Yeah, another thing as well that I would suggest is going somewhere like Florida, somewhere like Orlando. It's only 2 hours from here, so you're not dealing with a very long plane ride. You're only dealing with a couple of hours on the plane, so you have less opportunity for the kids to have meltdowns.
How did the actual plane ride go?
The plane ride was well. It went well, yeah.
Do they have their own seat? Every kid has their own seat?
Yes, unfortunately, when they're over 2, you have to pay for a seat for them. So, yes, they were in their own seats.
Yeah, and so that expense-wise, that really adds up when you're having to pay for every single person, even if they're, little people.
It does, but there is a way to mitigate that that I would like to suggest. So, as I said, we went to Orlando, so there's a site called visitorlando.com/Canada, and that's specifically for discounts for people coming from Canada going to Orlando. So for amusement parks, hotel accommodations, dining, shopping, everything. So that really can cut down on your costs, so I'd suggest that people go there.
Well, yeah, they need to be advertising a little better. That's
They need to advertise that. Yeah. So we got
thing.
fast passes there. I think I mentioned this the last time. So when you're standing in line for rides, you can kind of zip through the lines faster. So that really, really makes a difference when you have little children who don't have a long spate that they can handle standing in line.
Yeah, and some of those lines are outrageous.
They are.
Up to an hour or more. So
They
that,
can be.
you can speed past
You can speed past, and it's really worth it.
Great. And any other budget-saving tips?
I would say,
how about food?
Well, food, you know what, we actually had a really good time eating there. And again, it was because of the website. So because of the website, we could go on and we could look at what restaurants were, A, child-friendly, so where can we go that we could bring our kids. We went to Planet Hollywood, that was really good. We went to Medieval Times down there, that was great as well. But you can also get discounts for all of your family on the site as well. So keep within your budget. It doesn't have to be extravagant. You can do a family vacation that's not well in advance of what you can afford.
Wow, and if you're lucky enough to have kids who sleep in the car, that helps too. When you're driving from place to place, maybe they catch a quick cat nap in the car. But if your kids don't do that easily, then you have to sit in the hotel room.
You have to sit in the hotel, but one thing I would suggest as well is kind of break up your vacation. Have an itinerary in advance. So perhaps say, okay, on Monday we're going to go to the theme parks. On Tuesday we're just going to stay at the hotel, and we're going to go to the swimming pool at the hotel. We stayed at the Nickelodeon Suites, which was really fun. So there's a water park there. So that's a very entertaining thing for kids to do in a day. So it doesn't pull them away too much from their regular schedule. They can swim, they can sleep that day, and then the next day you go and you do your amusement park or your shopping or whatever you have.
Right on.
Yes.
And you mentioned the GPS and the map, and that's interesting. You'd think that would be a no-brainer, right? Like, of course you'd have a map. And then, how often has it happened when you arrive somewhere and
you don't
literally,
know where you're going?
because you don't have a map,
Yes.
and you don't know where to buy one. It's not as, they used to have them in grocery
They
stores.
don't
and it,
anymore. It's a lot more difficult. And I'd say that hindsight is 2020, Val, and that's why I'm actually bringing it up to any other parents who are going there. Really, get a GPS or have a map with you, because having a meltdown with kids after a long flight or after you've been on a plane and you've gone through the airport and your kids are in a different environment, it's best to cut down that period of time where you're driving.
Indeed. And all you want to do is get back to the hotel and have a shower.
Have a shower and relax, yes.
Your website is fantastic. Can we
Thank
talk
you.
a little bit about that, what we can find on it?
There are a lot of tips and advice for parents and families, anything from travel to saving money for kids to how to get your kids to read to a number of parenting related topics, play dates, everything.
Right on.
Yes.
And, you know, it's funny. It's not just for new parents. Parents of older children are in need of tips too. And here's one thing I love about your website. You've got this section called Dirty Little Secrets.
Yes.
And I think we all have this feeling like, oh, if I'm caught doing something wrong, if my child is seen with a piece of candy that has red food dye in it, I'm somehow going to be arrested as the worst mother ever. And that's not true, right?
No, you know, Val, part of the reason that I started my site was that I am so not the perfect parent. And, you know, we are bombarded with images in the media about having to be a perfect parent. And I realized I am so not cutting it and I need to write about this. And I realized that, you know what, the last post I did was called My Dirty Little Secret. And one of my secrets was that I put away my dishes wet because I'm too lazy or too tired to dry them. You know, I might have to rerun the washing machine a couple times because I've forgotten to take them out. And I think that I'm not alone in doing this. I think a lot of people do this. I think that we're all stressed as parents. We're running around. If you're working outside the home, you're working inside the home, you're busy, and it's hard taking care of kids. And we all need to give ourselves a break. So that's why I started writing. And I think that if I can give solace to any other parents who are feeling a little bit frazzled, then hey, I'm with you.
TV, you know, we swear before we become parents, oh, we're never going to let our child watch that much television.
My kids watch TV every day.
Because Mama needs
I need
a
to go in
break.
the shower. What am I going to do? You know?
That's right. So relax, right? We don't have
Relax.
to be as stressed. We don't have to feel like we've got to conform to some hypothetical perfect model.
Well, and I think I want to remind parents that we have been mothers and fathers for millennia, and we've survived as a species without all of these rules that we're supposed to be adhering to now. So I think that we should just continue on, use our common sense, and our kids will be fine.
I find this really interesting. Your oldest daughter is how old?
I don't know she wants me to tell her age, but she's in her 20s.
She is an adult.
She's an adult.
And you
yes.
have just turned 3-year-olds, or
Yes.
just under 3-year-olds. So when you were a parent the first time, do you find there are differences to now being a parent on this second wave?
Yes, and I'd say that the advent of digital technology and the bombardment of so many messages continually to kids is a real distraction. I think that it's prudent upon parents to really kind of use technology to their advantage, because I love technology, but also keep it within perspective, because kids, you know, we have this whole issue about texting and video games, and I think it's harder for kids to learn these days. I really think it is, because their attention span is constantly being distracted by other things.
For sure. And
Yeah.
we're being distracted too. Thank you so much. Great tips.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Go to her website, multiplemayhemmamma.com.
With 2 M's.
With 2 M's. And check out that great website she mentioned, visitorlando.com//Canada, because you'll get great tips
Great discounts.
and great discounts for the next time you're trekking down with the brood to enjoy your vacation. And we want to thank all of our guests today. Of course, we're going to have many more interesting guests for you tomorrow, so we will see you then. Enjoy the day, and we can't wait to see you again on Daytime Toronto. So I'll say goodbye for Glenn, too. I can't do a Glenn impersonation.
No